Just ahead on American Black Journal, thousands of young Detroiters are preparing to go to work this summer. We'll get details on the Grow Detroit's Young Talent program, plus a mobile museum that promotes Black history all year long. Stay right there. American Black Journal starts now.
American Black Journal is funded by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, a partner with communities where children come first.
How does diversity bring energy to us all? At DTE Energy, we believe that it's the contributions of all that build great communities. As a company, we grow stronger by welcoming the unique perspectives of everyone. As community members, we support our state's broad culture and heritage. From working closely with women and minority-owned suppliers to embracing our local cultures, DTE Energy is powering diversity. The DTE Energy Foundation is a proud sponsor of Detroit Public Television. Masco Corporation is proud to manufacture innovative and environmentally friendly products for the home. Delta faucets, craft-made in Merillat cabinets, and Behr brand paints have all been designed with you in mind. Masco and its family of companies, serving Michigan communities since 1929.
Welcome to American Black Journal. I'm Chastity Pratt-Dawsey, sitting in for Stephen Henderson. Thousands of young Detroiters will get valuable work experience and a chance to earn some money this summer thanks to the Grow Detroit's Young Talent program. The City of Detroit has teamed up with public, private, and community stakeholders to provide summer jobs for more than 8,000 young people ages 14 to 24. This year's program will also offer expanded vocational training and the opportunity for the youth to earn industry-recognized training certifications. The jobs will last for 6 weeks in July and August. And here to tell us more is Derek Hall, President and CEO of City Connect, a major partner in the program, along with one of the youth employers, Kimberly Newberry of Developing Kids. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Wonderful, wonderful. So Derek,
yes, ma'am.
Tell us, give us the basics. What is the program? How did it get started? How do we get here?
Grow Detroit's Young Talent is really the community's initiative, the community's movement to bring to bear on Detroit a robust employment system for young people ages 14 to 24. And since 2009, we have been working with a number of our community-based partners, the offices of the mayor, and in particular Mayor Duggan, who's just put his arms around this and helped to take it to scales that we could only have imagined of some time ago, to make sure that every young person that wants to have an opportunity to work, have a work experience for some of our young people, and be exposed to the world of work could have that opportunity. And so we're anticipating employing 8,000 young people. Not enough.
What kind of money are they making?
Well, the young people are at minimum wage.
Okay.
The youngest 14 to 17, we pay at what we call a training wage.
Okay.
And then, of course, our 18 to 24, we're at minimum wage. And it's a 6-week experience.
Gotcha.
An opportunity in particular for our young people to learn how to act and how to be in the world of work. But there's other benefits to it as well.
Now, I'm wondering, I'm from Detroit, and I remember my friends, my neighbors, getting summer jobs working with the city, wore the yellow shirts, did a lot of landscaping. Remember that? Is this the same thing? It sounds like it's far more expanded now.
It's far more expanded, and a couple of reasons why that is because, one, we work with a set of about 70 to 75 community-based partners. So many of our partners work with our young people, know our young people, in the neighborhoods where our young people live. Is one expanded aspect of it, but also an even greater aspect of it is we now have private sector involvement unlike we've ever had before. So we truly have a city, nonprofit, private in partnership to help employ 8,000 plus young people last year and this year going forward.
They're not only pulling weeds in the city parks director. So
absolutely
Kimberly, what are they doing with your company? What does your company do, and how do the youth engage with your work and help out where you're working?
Well, Developing Kids, we run programming for young people all year round. But for our summer camp, it's very intense. It's an 8-hour-a-day program that we provide to young children between the ages of 5 and 13 for free for their parents. So the young people that we employ act as workshop assistants. They may do clerical work. They may do help with the meal preparation for the youth. We have been employed about 45 young people, 45 to 50 for the last 3 years as a work site through the Grow Detroit Young Talent Program.
So the work site is a summer camp and the youth are
Yes.
helping to administer that.
Absolutely. And when they come to the program early on, they may just do a few things as assisting with the workshops, but through their experience, they will come back the next year and now they're leading these workshops. And so they have to create lesson plans. And some of those young people have now gone to college and they are education majors.
How do they get placed with the different, first Kimberly and then you, Derek, how do they get placed with the different employers? Is it through interest? Do they need interviews?
Well, 70% of our young people that we employ were participants in our program, or they are current participants in our program. So we take them through a series of interviewing skills, learning how to dress for an interview, and preparing them for the workforce, and they interview for these jobs. We don't employ all of them, but when we have that gap for that other 30%, we take suggestions and recommendations from other community-based organizations and businesses.
And for a number of our young people who are not at our community-based organizations, who are employed in what we call true private sector engagement opportunities, those young people are interviewed. Those young people have participated in programs like Kimberly's talking about, and they're ready for maybe another level of the employment opportunities that we have. And that's everything from the Charles Wright, working in the Motown, Detroit Motown Museum, working in the communications department,
right.
Working, of course, for the, of course, the mayor's office will have a young person. We have a young person in our office working, doing a variety of activities. We have young people that are in coding. We have young people that are working. We have some young people that are working in landscape, but it's not just pulling weeds anymore. It's about learning how this is an opportunity for a career. And so going through intense training with hands-on the job kind of training for that work.
Back up a little bit for us because
Yes.
I remember I did a story a couple of years ago about how Detroit had one of the highest youth unemployment
Yes.
rates in
Yes.
the nation. And
Yes.
since then, this program has grown and the mayor has, given, it kudos in the employment of young people.
Sure.
It's like a feather in the cap. But I wonder, tell us, how do you even get involved? It's probably too late for students and youth this year, but I'm sure people watching would say, hey, I want my kid to get involved next year.
Sure. Well, the Grow Detroit Young Talent website, community partners, young people, parents can all go to that website and learn about the program. Unfortunately, we have closed the application process because you do have to make some decisions about how many young people you can employ, the dollars and where they go. However, there's still some opportunities that might be available. So I would encourage young people and families to still go. In particular, we're always looking for dollars. The more dollars we have to employ a young person or a employer that's willing to employ and pay the young person, we're always still in need. And in particular, it's not just need, but it's encouragement because that kind of participation, be it a private sector, a nonprofit, an institute, a university, a hospital system, whatever have you, the importance of it is that we've come together as a community, that we've come together and decided that as a community, what you just said, we're going to make some deliberate, strategic, concentrated efforts to employ young people for a couple of reasons. Not just because it's a good thing to do, but research shows that when young people have an opportunity to work and get exposed in the world of work, their graduation rates, the graduation rates are increased. When young people have a chance to work and be exposed to the world of work, things in the summer are very productive in the community,
right.
And et cetera, et cetera.
But I'm wondering, Kimberly, who are the young people you said sometimes they're students or they're youth that you've had contact with before. Do you have to be a low-income youth? When I remember the program when I was growing up, you had to be a low-income youth, and it was, all city and grant dollars. Who are these young people, and how do you pay them? Is it your company paying them, or is there other funds involved?
So no, they get paid through City Connect, the young people that we work with, and so they handled all of the payroll for the young people. But I would tell you that they're not your 4.0 students or 2.5 students. Some of these young people are really struggling at home. So I can give you an example of a young man who was an active gang member. And working with youth, I can tell when youth are active with a gang. And one day, he had probably been in the program for a week. So throughout the training, I always tell them about our grant goals and what we expect of them. And one of that is that they will not have any gang activity, they will abstain for those type of behaviors. And so he came in, and I walked into a back room, and he was crying like a 2-year-old that couldn't find his mother, to one of our adult employees. And I just closed the door back. And afterwards, I go back to talk to her, and she said that he was crying because of some activity that he had been in the night before. And he wasn't happy with it and was talking about how he wants to get out. By the end of the program, I remember it was about a week before the end, he sent me a text message and said, "Ms. Kim, I want to thank you for giving me this job and helping me to turn my life around. I just need people to believe in me and support me." And at the end, he said 100, which was their term, you know. But when I say it's more than just employment for them, it's an opportunity, because it's showing that someone believes in them. And so we don't just, we don't take those youth that are already experienced in how to handle themselves in a work environment, but we teach them along the way. And if we don't provide them with an opportunity and invest in them, then we have to be prepared to handle the challenges.
What happens with idle hands, right?
And if I can add, though this is an incredible story, and much like many of our stories with our young people, Great Trace Young Talent Program has 2 requirements. Young person is age appropriate and live in the city of Detroit. Yes. Depending on the funding stream will dictate income requirements, et cetera. But we believe that all young people, whether they're a CAS or Renaissance attendee with a 4.0, that wants to have an opportunity to work or be exposed to the world of work, ought to have that opportunity.
Real quickly, we're going to run out of time. I want you to hit 2 really good topics for me. The certifications. How does that work? What kind of job skills will students leave with? Because 6 weeks doesn't seem like a long enough time to really get, you know, a really meaningful certification, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, for some of our older young people, working with another incredible partner here, so the mayor's office, of course, is one of the lead partner, if you will, and 2 of the implementation partners, City Connect Detroit and Detroit Employment Solutions Corporation, will work with a set of older young people around the certification in a couple of different areas: health, the landscaping that we've talked about. And those programs, while the hands-on is the 6 weeks, there's other trainings that happen. Also, I should mention, in our 6-week experience with all of our young people, they all, in the midst of that, will also get about 20 hours of some developmental training as well. Everything from employable skills to resume writing to the whole, you know, interviewing, the whole 9.
We got less than a minute left. I got a tough question for you. We don't want to be sycophants for any program, so we got to say, if it's great, what could make it better? What could make this program better?
I believe that there were more companies to provide young people with opportunities, because that's the real need, that there aren't enough jobs for them, and these young people really are looking to work.
What do you think?
I would echo that. 8,000 will work this summer, 11,000 applied, and many more just shut down on the application. So with all the greatness that we're doing together as a community, more, and more employers, more dollars will help us to go to the next level. And thank you.
Thank you for all that you do. Coming up next, a museum that brings Black history to the community. But first, here's a clip from a 1991 Detroit Black Journal roundtable discussion about African Americans in the media.
Since '68, we've had a tremendous influx of blacks in the media, the mainstream media, as well as the black media.
Well,
hasn't that had any impact at all?
Certainly it's had some impact. It has sensitized newsrooms, more or less, and I'm one of those that thinks less. But let's remember that when you say a tremendous influx, by the latest survey I saw means that the number of blacks employed by the so-called major media has grown from 2% in newsrooms to just under 7%. That, in my judgment, is not a tremendous influx, particularly in major markets like Detroit, where there's such a large minority population.
Let me bring Robert McTire into the Michigan Chronicle. You see your role as trying to correct that imbalance?
Absolutely. And I wanted to kind of tag on to what Bill mentioned too. I think too that there's a polarization that has taken place in newsrooms in this country in the last 20 years. And I think that the black press now more than ever has a significant role in providing an image, a perception of what exists in the black community and the things that go on that is not clearly sometimes covered in what's called the majority media.
And I think another thing is that you have to recognize in Detroit, for instance, the the percentage of black population. It's over 70%. So obviously when there are reports of crime, which is the bread and butter of the news media, fires and killings and that sort of thing, obviously blacks are featured in those because we are the majority population.
In 1995, my next guest created a traveling museum that keeps Black History Month going all year long. The Black History 101 Mobile Museum contains more than 7,000 original artifacts representing the African American experience. The museum tours the country, visiting schools, colleges and universities, conferences, cultural events, and churches. The items in the museum date from slavery to the modern-day hip-hop culture. They include an old drinking fountain sign, vintage magazines, a KKK hood, slave shackles, a document signed by Malcolm X, and much, much more. Joining me now is the museum's founder and curator, Khalid el-Hakim. Welcome to American Black Journal.
Thank you.
You know what? I am fascinated by this. I can't believe I've missed it all these years. You have to tell us the story of how you came up with the idea to do this.
Well, originally I came up with the idea to do it after I attended the Million Man March in 1995. Okay. Prior to that, I was just a collector of African American memorabilia. After taking a class with Dr. David Pilgrim of the Jim Crow Museum, when I was a student at Ferris State University back in the early 90s, I started collecting after taking his Intro to Sociology class. And he just had a very powerful way of teaching about racism in America. He would bring in original artifacts from the Jim Crow era every session of our class and had us deal with those issues of race in a very unique type of way. So I was inspired by that and started collecting shortly after taking his class. But it was 1995, the Million Man March, that this idea for a mobile museum came into play.
Well, I mean, on behalf of people who value the educational importance of this, I want to say thank you. You're a shining light. So describe it. Describe what it is and the experience that people have with the artifacts.
Absolutely. So I set up, well, obviously I can't take 7,000 artifacts on the road with me. So I set up tabletop exhibits, about 10 tables, 150 artifacts, and they're thematic. Right now I'm doing an exhibit called The 3 M's. It's focused on Martin Luther King, Motown, and Michael Jackson. Okay. So we take these artifacts out on the road, and people come through the exhibit. Sometimes we have guest lecturers. Over the years, Professor Griff from Public Enemy has toured with me, probably 90% of the places I've traveled. But we've had people like Jessica Care Moore and the Last Poets, Proof from D12 come along on the road with us, Fred Hampton Jr. and some other folks. But it's just it's a experience that people find very memorable and informative and really appreciate.
I think you're being a little humble here. This has gone to what? How many countries? How many states? Well, people call you the Schomburg of the hip hop culture.
Yeah, we've gone quite a few places. It's been 27 states, over 300 institutions. In 2 countries, and we've been to Canada and the United States.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What are the most popular artifacts? Like, you know, there's got to be 7 or 8 things you pull out, and people are going to have a visceral reaction.
It's a very diverse collection of memorabilia. So there's shackles from slavery in the collection. We have original lynching photographs that people find obviously very disturbing. But on the other extreme, we have a huge archive of hip hop memorabilia.
Like what?
Oh wow! So we have old Vibe magazines, Source magazines, autographs from everybody from African Bambaataa to KRS-One to Chuck D. We have, let's see, yeah, it's just a variety of things, albums, cassettes.
Where do you get this stuff? Is it stuff that you get from auctions? Is it donated?
Yeah, so I tell people if they ever watch the TV show American Pickers, I'm the black version of that.
Okay.
So I'm digging constantly, going to flea markets and garage sales and estate sales. I've gone to auctions. I actually got the KKK memorabilia from an auction up in Howell, Michigan. Robert Miles was the Grand Dragon up there, and his family put his things up for sale. So I went up there and got some things. out of his collection. But, you know, just a variety of different places around the country. I worked in the hip hop industry for 20 years as well. So being able to travel with different hip hop artists around the country and overseas gave me an opportunity to dig through some places that I wouldn't otherwise be able to do.
Well, I'm sure you've heard that President Donald Trump has had some challenges with understanding Frederick Douglass and the purpose of the Civil War.
Ben Carson is Frederick Douglass.
My question, though, is talk to me about opportunities you've had to present this to audiences that might not be as astute when it comes to African American history. Maybe they're white audiences, maybe they're, you know, people who don't, you know, live around black people or know black history. What opportunities do you have to show them and educate them with your artifacts?
Well, one of the great things about this being a mobile museum is that it can go anywhere. A lot of the places I get invited, just based upon being having a presence on the internet, I've been getting calls from all around the country, from, you know, states like Iowa or Oklahoma or Nebraska, and we go out there, and people, generally speaking, appreciate the work. And it provides opportunities for us to have some real conversations about some issues that we have to talk about. So.
And you've been doing this for a number of years. I know there's some stories where you can tell us about the most memorable times watching people respond to the artifacts, you know. Yeah, so
one story that sticks out quite a bit is a young woman, we were in Pennsylvania, York, Pennsylvania, and a young white female student walked through. We were at a college there, and she started crying. And we do have people who, you know, have a variety of different emotions as they walk through the exhibit, but hers was just kind of different. And you know, and I just watched. I didn't engage her at first, but she got comfortable and came over to me and told me she was looking at the Klan memorabilia and just started bawling. And she confided and expressed that she sees that stuff every day. She said her father and her grandfather are Klansmen. Wow. Yeah, so it was a very emotional response that she had. But she said that she didn't she didn't agree with them, but it was just a part of her lived experience, something that she saw every day. So so that's one thing that I've learned too doing this work, is that you realize that people have their own lived experiences, you know. So the idea of this mobile museum is ideally to create a shared experience that people can have in this space, and then for people to have conversations, and then, you know, after, you know, these conversations, you know, we have some place, some point of reference to come back to have other, you know, conversations, or, you know, accountability as well, because once you know better, then you should be able to, you know.
Yeah, so what's your favorite item or items? Right. And what do you hope every person who comes into contact with your mobile museum takes away?
Yes. So my favorite items, and they change, but my favorite items right now, I really love the hip hop memorabilia, simply because that was the era that I grew up in, coming out, you know, growing up in the 80s in Detroit. Just remembering Public Enemy and KRS-One and Queen Latifah. A very good friend of mine who's a hip hop photographer, he's actually one of the legendary hip hop photographers, Ernie Panicoli, has documented hip hop from the early 70s up until current times. And he recently donated some photographs of, you know, a young Jay-Z, a Lil Wayne at 16, and, you know, Tupac and Biggie. So I have these phenomenal photographs that I have from him, and those are some of my favorites right now.
And see, you could just put this up around your house and look at it every day, but you're sharing it with the world. What do you want people to take away?
So the takeaway is that to recognize that we've made some incredible contributions in spite of Jim Crowism, in spite of the lynchings, in spite of slavery. We've made some incredible contributions. Yeah. So part of the collection are documents signed by historical figures like Mary McLeod Bethune, Carter G. Woodson, George Washington Carver, Booker T. Washington, and just other greats like that. So I want people to get a sense that we need to do more research, that we need to dig a little bit deeper, that we need to remember legacy and remember that we come from a great people and that we can make contributions regardless of what the times are.
I got a minute left. I do want you to talk about your book, and maybe the next time we can see this exhibit here in our area.
Absolutely.
talk to me about the book. Tell
the
everybody
book,
so
yes.
we can get it.
So the book is called The Center of the Movement, Collecting Hip-Hop Memorabilia. The book is a documentation of different hip-hop artifacts I've collected over the past 20 years as I travel with different artists that I've worked with. But it's also interviews from different hip-hop collectors and them telling their stories about how they collected hip-hop memorabilia. Phenomenal.
When might Metro Detroiters or Michigan residents see this mobile museum soon?
We're looking at doing some tours in August and July of this year. So we're getting dates down right now.
So we could look, where's the website? We check for the dates.
Yes, the Black History 101 mobilemuseum.com. Or you can go to Facebook, Black History 101 mobilemuseum.com.
I'm sure you're going to get a lot of new, new fans.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. That is our program for today. Thanks for watching. You can get more information about our guests at AmericanBlackJournal.org, and you can always connect with us on Facebook and Twitter. We'll see you next time.
American Black Journal is funded by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, a partner with communities where children come first.
How does diversity bring energy to us all? At DTE Energy, we believe that it's the contributions of all that build great communities. As a company, we grow stronger by welcoming the unique perspectives of everyone. As community members, we support our state's broad culture and heritage. From working closely with women and minority-owned suppliers to embracing our local cultures, DTE Energy is powering diversity. The DTE Energy Foundation is a proud sponsor of Detroit Public Television. Masco Corporation is proud to manufacture innovative and environmentally friendly products for the home. Delta faucets, craft-made in Merillat cabinets, and Behr brand paints have all been designed with you in mind. Masco and its family of companies, serving Michigan communities since 1929.